Yesterday on CNN, things got pretty heated when the question of domestic terror attacks against Tesla owners, Tesla dealerships, Tesla charging stations came up on Abby Phillips' show, this time with John Berman playing the part of Abby Phillips. Trust me, he's no upgrade at all. Just watch how Scott Jennings handles it. His sparring partner is a woman named Neera Tanden. More on her in a moment.
Doubtful it's Republicans attacking Tesla dealerships around the country. It's pretty wild, actually. The other night, Donald Trump said these are domestic terrorists. Everybody laughed about it and scoffed at it. That video looks like terrorism to me. I mean, it's obviously an organized, coordinated effort, however people are communicating with each other, to do this to people around the country who chose to buy a Tesla at some point in the past, many of whom I'm sure are Democrats who bought them in the first place, all because their entire political worldview is ruled by their emotions. And that's the American left right now. It is one angry mob after another willing to take things into their own hands, up to and including keying, firebombing, and otherwise vandalizing cars and car dealerships and charging stations. It's outrageous. It is terrorism. People ought to be put in jail and left there for a very long time and be taught a lesson.
All right, so that woman on the right, her name is Neera Tanden. She used to run a thing called Center for American Progress. So whenever progress is in the name, you know what's coming. It was an organization that was set up and started by John Podesta. Most of the funding at the beginning came from George Soros organizations, continues to be propped up by those organizations. Neera Tanden was in charge of that group until Joe Biden became president. Then she effortlessly transitioned into the Biden administration, worked in the White House, and now she's effortlessly transitioned back to the Center for American Progress. See, this is how it works in Washington, D.C. These think tanks, these groups, these organizations, they keep your seat warm. You know, you do all this left-wing activist work, you get the guy elected, then you get a job in the White House, then you come right back into your job. You're never out of work when you're a left-wing activist in Washington, D.C. So here's Neera Tanden. She's got a little bit more time on her hands, so she's sitting on the CNN table here, and she takes issue with the idea that these are left-wing terrorists that are firebombing Teslas. Watch.
So when they do it to a Tesla dealership, it's really bad. But when they do it to the halls of Congress, we should pardon them. Is that your position?
No, I've never. I don't
are
support,
you okay with the January 6th?
I know you haven't been around for a while, so let me educate you about my position about January the 6th.
I'm so sorry.
Let me educate you.
No, you don't need to.
You don't need to be condescending to me. So let me educate you about my position. You want to attack me? Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let's do this January 6th and then Neera.
I'm sorry you're getting emotional.
I'm sorry you're a condescending person who hasn't been paying attention to what I do.
Stop, guys.
So here's the issue. I didn't support what happened on January the 6th and was one of the first Republicans to call it out. I don't support the pardons. I have repeatedly, just like my friend Ashley here, said that no violence in our political system is acceptable. But this right here, what's going on with a guy who helps our country, who runs successful companies, who doesn't have to be doing this, and now one of his companies is under systematic terroristic threat and violence all over the country, and people seem to be laughing about it or fine with it. It's outrageous. I've sat at this table and had people say, we should cut Elon Musk from the government totally. He rescued our astronauts today. Is that what we want? The treatment of this guy is outrageous. These people who are doing this need to be found, put in jail, and made an example of. That's my point.
Anyone who commits violence against Tesla or Congress or anyone else should be put in jail. 1,000%.
Do you sense a butt coming? I do. I can sense it. I feel a big butt coming. That came out wrong. Pretend I didn't say it the way I just said it. But there is a big butt coming. A Kardashian scale butt is about to happen. So Neera Tanden says anyone who breaks the law should be sent to jail. 1,000%, she says. But
that should not stifle dissent or opposition from Elon Musk.
Give it a little lip service. Give it a little both sides. Go ahead.
We're both sides here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to say that people are legitimately upset.
That sound you just heard was Neera Tanden, who's a little out of practice and not used to dealing with somebody like Scott Jennings, who will actually call her out on her bull to her face. But that sound you heard was Neera Tanden being so flustered that she knocked over her coffee tumbler that was on a little table underneath the big conference table that they use. That's what they do in these setups here. They've got you all mic'd up and earpieced up and everything. And then you've got a glass of water or coffee or something, and you hide it. So during breaks, you can take a sip. She knocked it over because she's so flustered.
They're legitimately upset
And
at Elon Musk, and they're doing it
legitimate?
on their own, but there is no reason to have violence in the country. But I just wish all of us would support criticism of, or would support punishing people who are violent wherever they are.
Yeah, so she's trying to make a big January 6th, both sides gotcha moment here. But let me go back right before the coffee tumbler falls over, because the big Kardashian butt I told you about, boy, it's significant.
Of course.
From Elon Musk.
Give it a little lip service. Give it a little both sides. Go
No,
ahead.
no, okay.
So
Okay,
John,
we're so both sides here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to say that people are legitimately upset. They're legitimately upset
And
at
it-
Elon Musk, and they're doing it
legitimate?
on their own, but there is no reason to have violence in the
So people are legitimately upset. So the rage behind the terrorist acts of firebombing individuals' private property and Tesla chargers. And remember when Pete Buttigieg took like $8 billion of federal tax money to create a charging network across the country? We only ended up with like 9 or 10. Musk has actually built a network of chargers for EVs, and now they're destroying them. And Neera Tanden is on CNN saying, well, people are legitimately upset. People are legitimately upset because that's our waste, fraud, and abuse. We were counting on that. I've been writing grants for Center for American Progress. I'm hoping to get some of that money funneled through our doors. That's why I'm here. So people are legitimately upset. Over on MSNBC, they did something that's almost as bad as what you just saw. And great job, Scott Jennings. As I look at that face, God, that is just, I'm so proud of that dude. Over on MSNBC, they highlighted the fact that Donald Trump has characterized the violence, the organized and appears to be well-funded violence against Tesla dealerships, private Tesla owners, and these charging stations. He has characterized it as domestic terrorism. I want to say that again because it's lost on MSNBC's ears. Donald Trump characterized the violence as domestic terrorism. Now watch what MSNBC does.
So overnight, have this post claiming that protests at Tesla dealerships are illegal. He said today he would label violence against dealerships domestic terrorism. Now, you know I am judicious in how I play this sound, but I think you need to hear it from him.
Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. Let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell.
So just to be clear, you protest a private company, you are labeled by this administration a domestic terrorist.
What? Did you see what she just did? My favorite part about what she just did is she prefaced it with, just to be clear. So before they went to the clip of Trump, she got it right because she was reading it. And she said that Donald Trump is calling the violence against these Tesla dealerships and Tesla owners domestic terrorism. Then they play Trump. And the question is, some are calling for you to label the violence against Tesla dealerships and Tesla owners as domestic terrorism. And he said, yes, I will do that. It's got to stop. And then we go back to the studio and she says, just to be clear, just to be clear.
So just to be clear, you protest a private company, you are labeled by this administration a domestic terrorist.
That's some crackerjack journalism right there by MSNBC, NBC News. Proud as a peacock. You might want to let Comcast Universal know how proud you are of the work they're doing there at MSNBC. You know, Universal, who wants you to go spend a ton of money at their theme parks on your next vacation, or a ton of money at the local cinema to see their movies and buy their popcorn and everything. Yeah, that's the company. Or Comcast, the one that wants you to keep paying for that monthly cable bill when you could, in fact, just end up getting, well, Elon Musk's Starlink internet access and then stream the shows that you want. No, Comcast Universal wants you to keep giving them shovels of money for all the things they're providing you, while at the same time they're providing you that kind of journalism. That Donald Trump wants to label someone who protests against a company a domestic terrorist, which is literally fake news. Yeah, they are proud as a peacock.